Guys, today I'm going to be talking about programming for hypertrophy. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about today is based off of Mike Israel's work through Renaissance Periodization. They got a really good site over there and a lot of the info is free, so I'm going to link that down below. So what I like to do when I'm setting up a workout program for hypertrophy is I like to split it up into a 3 to 5 week block or mesocycle with a 1 week deload. And the goal through that working block is to progressively overload either with more sets or increasing your intensity or your reps to increase your total tonnage week to week. So something with the sets that would look like starting out around 10 sets per week for a certain body part, and then by the end before you deload you'd be up to somewhere in like the mid-20s. In intensity it's very similar, you just have to be moving more weight week to week, which becomes harder as an advanced lifter, and that's why the high sets as a high volume method works really well. And for frequency it really depends on the body part. So for larger body parts like let's say your quads or your chest, I would only train those 2 to 4 times a week, and then smaller body parts like your bicep or deltoids or rear delts, you can train those up to 6, maybe even 7 times a week. I would encourage doing one rest day, but they can really take a lot of damage and recover pretty quickly. For exercise selection, you've probably heard of this, starting out with your compounds, and that'll help increasing your sets, because if you're doing a bench press, you got your front delts, your chest, and your triceps working, so you don't have to do, if you did that separately, you would have to do flies and front raises and tricep push downs. But with compound exercises, since you're using multiple muscle groups at once, you get a lot more work done in a shorter period of time. And then for your non-compound isolation movements, I really like to focus on the mind-muscle connection, and just if you're doing a bicep curl, feeling that squeeze, and whatever exercises you select that feel the best to you. If you are doing hammer curls and you can't feel it in your biceps, then you're supinated more and you feel it more, then do the supinated version. And then also for exercise selection, you want to work on weak points, such as if your upper chest needs more development, maybe do more incline stuff. For rep ranges while doing hypertrophy training, I do anywhere between 5 to 25 reps and up. So anything below 5 reps, you're still going to get that load, but it's not really, that's more strength based than hypertrophy based. You're not going to get the same metabolite effect or anything like that, and we'll talk about metabolite training later on. So I really like to max out about that 25 rep range, and when I'm doing something like that higher reps, I really like to do that with exercises that have a short range of motion. So if you're doing calf raises, I really like to do higher sets with the calves, just because when you don't have that large range of motion, you want to be doing more reps. For tempo, what I really like to do is focus on the mind-muscle connection, like I said earlier, when it comes to those isolation exercises. So if you're at the bottom of a fly, you really want to feel that stretch in your pec, and then feel the squeeze when you get to the top of the movement. Now explosion, I put some question marks next to that, because explosive exercises like jumping or doing something like a really fast bench press shows high EMG activation, and that doesn't necessarily correlate with hypertrophy, but it's definitely something I like to play around with. Doing a dead bench and just exploding out a bit off the racks is definitely something that'll change up your training, and I've known the difference training more explosively. So plateaus, hit plateaus, when you will hit plateaus, and you'll notice that by a loss of a pump, or your body's just not, you don't really feel the same way you did when you were first started high volume training. So what you want to do then is either go to a strength block of like 3 or 4 weeks with a deload, and then get back into the high volume stuff. Or another thing you can do is change up your exercise variation. There's a Arnold's whole thing of muscle confusion, and there is some truth to that if you you're flat benching for a while and you just can't overload anymore, and you switch to an incline, there's a chance when you come back to flat bench you will be stronger. The deload, which is a very important part of this, what I like to do for that week is drop your sets and then lower your intensity. So if you're on a 6-week split, I would do for the first 3 days, I would drop sets, and then the last 3 days drop the intensity, so do really lightweight, but you're not pushing any RPEs at all, 60 or under, probably 60%. And what that'll do is it'll help your connective tissues heal up, so by the end of these you should really be feeling some pain in your joints and your elbows and your knees and stuff like that. So doing that lower weight will help your connective tissue heal in your joints. That's basically everything you need to know about programming for hypertrophy. There's obviously a lot more that goes into these concepts, which I'll explain in later videos. But for now, I'll put that link down in the description to Renaissance periodization, and definitely check it out. Thanks, guys.